We were talking earlier about Daniel's 40 years in the business.
Yeah.
You were 40 before you even started.
Well, I was 45 but, when I come out of prison when I was 45 years of age.
Well, this is from
Yeah,
the...
I was a political prisoner. Seriously, I was a political prisoner. I've just been pardoned now after 47 years.
My word.
Well, that done us well, didn't it? Pardoned us now.
No.
After, you know, being on the blanket and solitary confinement, hunger strike for 31 days. But, you know, we had to do what we done.
And this was the builder strike in the 70s.
The one and only ever.
Yes.
The one and only ever building strike. And I, living in North Wales, living in a little council house with my wife and my 2 small boys. And because I'd had a bit of experience, the Welsh lad said, will you run the show from up here? Which I did. But I was asked to be a prosecution witness. And I said, how can I be a prosecution witness? I was in charge. So they said, well, we'll have to charge you. So that was it.
And you went to jail, you got released, you couldn't get a gig building, and so that's how you got into acting?
That's how I got in. I was going around the pubs and the clubs doing a few gags, playing a few tunes on the banjo, seen an advert in the Liverpool Echo for anyone with trade union experience and an equity card to come for an audition for the movie. So I went all the way down to LWT for this audition, and I didn't put my own name on the application form because everyone knew Ricky Tomlinson, so I put a phony name on. Went in, met this fella, and when I went into his office, he was sitting on the back of the chair with his feet on a polished table. And I felt, if my mother was behind you, she'd say, get off. Yeah. Anyway, we ended up having a row, and I told him to stick his film. I said I couldn't put up with what he was saying. And he said to me, no one knows what it's like to be having a hard time now. And I said, so I'd walked across London. Because when I was driving down there in my little post office van, I seen a sign, London, I parked behind it. I thought it was there. So I put my finger in the hole in my shoe, and my foot was bleeding, and I went, do you think that's nail varnish? I said, stick your film. So I'm going down in the lift, and he's shouting, I know who you are. You're Ricky Tomlinson, and I'm shouting. Anyway, I told him I was a City and Guilds plastering and done a bit of technical drawing and stuff like that. And funny enough, his office phoned me the next day. The lady, and she said, Roland wants you to go to, I just forget where it was now, Formby or somewhere, just forget. And he wants you to do a workshop. So I phoned my mate and I said, listen, this fella wants me to build him a workshop. I said, have you still got the van, Tony? And he went, yeah. I said, have you got any gear? He said, yeah, I've got a mixer, a bit of stand-up. I said, come on. So we went. And when we got to where we were going, it was a block of flats. I said, where does he want a workshop building here? And when I went in, it was Frankie Clark, Margie Clark, all actors. And I said, what are you doing here? He said, we're here for the workshop. What are you doing? I said, oh, that's what we're here for, you know. That's what we're here for.
And so you got the gig.
I got the gig, yeah.
On to great things.
Yeah.
I mean, when you walked out here tonight, everybody, you know, obviously recognises you from the Royle family. You know, you guys...
It was a wonderful job, that.
Wonderful job. Yeah. You also worked with the late, great Caroline Ahern.
Yes.
Did you do the show with Caroline?
I did Mrs. Merton with her.
Isn't that wonderful?
But, I mean...
Well, you know, they weren't going to commission the Royle family.
Yeah.
They weren't going to commission it because they read it and he went, family sitting in easy chairs looking at the television. That won't work. So she said, well, if you don't do it, I'm not doing any more Mrs. Mertons.
Oh, so that's what it was?
That's what got it.
Well, I mean, Mrs. Merton, I mean, she was good.
Yeah,
she could ask questions that...
I know, she was super. And you know, Caroline, when I went on with Caroline and Mrs. Merton, I met Caroline. But the minute she became Mrs. Merton, she was Mrs. Merton. It wasn't, there was no resemblance of Caroline at all. It was amazing. But the Royle family was loved all over.
We've got a wee clip of Daniel with Mrs. Merton.
Have you? Oh, God.
Say, for example, you get home, you've done a concert, and you're relaxing. Do you sit there and you're undies scratching and trumping?
Well, I mean, if there's something needing scratched, I do scratch it, yeah.
But you know, that show was so special, the Royle family. Did you realise how special it was when you were doing it? Because it was a game changer for comedy, wasn't it?
It was wonderful, but she had a wicked sense of humour, you know. And we only worked Monday to Friday. And she phoned me at home one Friday night, late, about 9 o'clock. And she said, Ricky, can you get up to Manchester tomorrow? I said, what for? She said, we've just been in the edit suite and there's something wrong with the scene you've done. She said, so if you can come in, we can sort it. I said, OK. What time? We get there, 9 o'clock. I went in, and Aaron Craig was sitting on the settee. The screen was there. And I said, what's the scene? She said, it's where you've got injured your 2 toes, by the way, and you've just got your underpants on and your vest. And Dave and Lakey are carrying you up the stairs. I said, oh, are you? So I said, well, what's the problem? She said, well, one of your testicles was hanging out. I said, what? She said, when we got it in the edit suite, she said, one of your testicles was hanging out. She said, what do you think about that? And I said, well, was it a big one or the other 2? Anyway, they got it rubbed out. They got it erased digitally. It cost them a fortune to get it erased.
All they needed was the banjo. Oh, God.
We've got to get the show in. Tell us, the show is starring your good self. It's coming to... Where's it coming to?
Irish Annie. It's going all over.
Oh, there's the poster.
That's it. Irish Annie.
I thought it was the proclamation.
It's a musical with a lovely twist in it. And it's absolutely great,
There
honestly.
it is. There it is. Irish Annie's. It's coming to Ireland next April. Dublin, Cork, Galway, Drogheda. For further details, tickets, go to irishannies.com. And you might get another story like Ricky finished with tonight.
But
guys,
you know, you were talking about ghosts before. I wouldn't sit here and tell a lie to them people. Because once you tell a lie in the game, as you know, you're finished. I have seen them in the broad daylight. The wind's not howling. There's no moon. There's no wind. There's nothing like that. I hired a little club off the council in Liverpool and started a drama group there. And it had a spiral staircase. And I'm coming in one morning, and I'm just going to go up to this toilet was on the first floor, and my office was there, like. So I'm going to go up there, and a lady come out. And she's got a pram, a little girl in the pram, and holding another little one with a hand. And she went down the stairs, and I went, I better come back and give her a hand. And when I would come back, she'd gone. So I thought, that's strange. So the next morning, I'm coming into work, and I had a few lads who were having a hard time, and I had rooms upstairs. I had 8 little rooms, and the lads used to have them for nothing, you know. They were all skint. And there was an Irish lad there, and he'd done 11 years in jail. And he was a diesel fitter, and he was frightened of nothing. He'd done 11 years, he'd shot a policeman. And the bullet had scraped the fella's head, hadn't killed him, scraped his head. Anyway, Albert had done 11 years. And I come in one morning, and he's walking down the spiral staircase with his face to the wall. I said, Albert, what? I said, you're going to be falling over. You're going to break your neck. He went, oh. He said, I have to do it. He said, every morning when I get up and I'm going to it, because as I say, he was a diesel fitter. He said, there's a woman coming out of there. He said, she's got a pram with a baby in the pram and holding another one. He said, and when I get to the front door, it's locked. So the club was over at what used to be a bank. And fellas used to climb up the drain pipe outside, get into the club and think they could get into the bank too. Anyway, I used to breed bull mastiffs. So I've got 5 of them upstairs, outside, on the roof, railings on it. They can't get into any harm. And easy to clear all the mess up. And I'm in there one night, and I heard these fellas talking in one of the little rooms. So I got my mate to go, I said, and you could hear them as plain as day talking. So I said, go downstairs, I said to the barmaid, phone the police, tell them to come down Mount Pleasant. But don't put the horn on the police car. Leave the front door open. Anyway, these 3 policemen come up. They were like 3 rugby players. They were like that. And I went, and he went to his mate. 1, 2, 3, 1. Blast! He took the door off the hinges. The room was empty.
My goodness.
The room was empty. And, I mean, this is all logged out. And I said to him, I'm awful sorry about this. He said, you'd be surprised how many times we get called out for things like this. Yeah. They heard them as plain as day, arguing and shouting and fighting in the room.
It's funny the way they come out for a ghost, but not a hanging out testicle, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Hold that thought.